Good morning. Welcome to our information session for the German Studies course in Paris, Summer Abroad 2026. Before we begin, we want to acknowledge the land on which the University of Toronto operates. We wish to acknowledge the land. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and the Mississaugas of the Credit. Today, this meeting place is still the home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we're grateful to have the opportunity to work and learn on this land. So here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to start with an overview of the Summer Abroad program. Then we'll get into details of the course in Paris, the German Studies course, followed by how to apply, the costs and financial assistance available. Then we'll get into EDIA resources and support that's available. And then finally, we'll have time for your questions. You'll also notice at the bottom of your Zoom screen, there's a Q&A box that you can use throughout the session. My colleague is here and she'll be responding to your questions in the Q&A. So if you don't want to hold your questions till the end because you don't want to forget it, that's absolutely fine. That will be monitored as well. So my name is Aisha Amin. I'm the program coordinator for this course at the Summer Abroad office, and I'm happy to have the instructor for the course, Professor Hang-Sun Kim, with us as well today, and she'll be going over the course in more detail with you shortly. So first, to describe Summer Abroad to you. So Summer Abroad is celebrating its 54th anniversary in 2026. By participating in the Summer Abroad program, students get to earn a full year arts and science credit. These are not transfer credits. These are U of T credits, but you're studying abroad doing it between, on average, 3 to 6 weeks. There are over 20 destinations worldwide, and courses are taught by U of T faculty or sometimes by international experts. These courses can fulfill program, breadth, or distribution requirements, and classes are typically pretty small, between 20 to 30 students. And we also ensure that students are fully supported with a dedicated on-site staff that's available on site, as well as offering a pre-departure orientation and then safety abroad requirements that students complete before departure. So that way everyone is well prepared for the experience. What's really unique about the Summer Abroad program is that your destination becomes a living textbook. So you really get this unique experience that combines the academics, travel, a chance to make lifelong friends, improve your communication skills, and of course, to experience a new culture. So with that said, I'm happy to pass this along to Professor Hang-Sun Kim, who will talk about the course in more detail. Hang-Sun?
Great, thank you, Aisha. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning for this info session. My name is Hang-Sun Kim, and I'm an associate professor teaching stream here at the University of Toronto. I teach German language, literature, and culture courses for the German Studies department. So let me get straight to the point. In this course, you will have a chance to discover one of the most influential and fascinating thinkers of the 20th century, Walter Benjamin. If you met Walter Benjamin in Paris in the 1930s, you might have seen a stout, middle-aged man with thick glasses and a mustache poking about the streets, probably avoiding conversation with others. And chances are that you would have mistaken this threadbare figure for a homeless person. You probably would have never guessed that you were witnessing one of the greatest minds of the 20th century, formulating penetrating observations about the city that have helped to shape how we think and talk about the modern world more generally today. As a German Jew fleeing the Nazis, necessity had landed him in Paris, but it was a city that he was charmed and transfixed by. He spent an astonishing amount of time wandering the streets of Paris. Benjamin thought that if you wanted to understand the modern world, Paris held the key, and you had to study it at street level. So, reflected in the city, Benjamin saw in concentrated form all the forces that still define our modern life today. You name it: capitalism, urbanization, industrialization, luxury driven consumerism, mass entertainment, the yawning gap between the rich and the poor, spectacle driven politics, and technological progress that seemed to be accelerating toward catastrophe. What made Benjamin's studies of 19th century Paris so unique in his time and hugely influential to this day is that before, schools, museums, and churches set the standard for what we should know and study, such as the great works of art, the great works of ancient literature, celebrated thinkers, and the great men of history. Benjamin instead turned his gaze on the everyday things that ordinary people use and were attracted to, like popular entertainment, fashion trends, ads, luxury consumer goods. Things that seemed too lowbrow for philosophers and historians of his time to pay attention to, Benjamin thought that these were the things that would uncover people's desires, hopes, and fears, and reveal how they were shaped by the forces of modern capitalism and technology. Aisha, could you go to the slide with the arcades? Benjamin famously described himself as a rag picker, someone who roams the streets to pick up trash and scraps and lost objects. He was fascinated by consumer goods that were one day all the rage, only to be forgotten and discarded the next. But he also studied the more enduring wonders of modern culture. Paris in the 19th century gave rise to the first department store. The French also invented modern photography and cinema and produced exciting new experiments in architecture like the Eiffel Tower. Benjamin viewed all of this with the sharp perspective of an outsider. He brought with him from Germany a rich intellectual tradition. He was deeply influenced by figures like Marx, Nietzsche, and Simmel, thinkers who were obsessively trying to peer beneath the surface of things, some of whom you'll read in this course. Benjamin remained an outsider in Paris, living on the fringes of society as a displaced German Jew, fleeing persecution, afflicted by economic precarity and housing insecurity. He sought refuge under the spectacular domed ceiling of the Bibliothèque Nationale de France, which you see here, where he spent countless hours coming up with path-breaking concepts that are still discussed and debated today in media theory, urban and cultural studies, political science, and philosophy. And much of the urban landscape that Benjamin trained his focus on is still very visible in Paris today. Our study of Benjamin's work will be accompanied by walks along the cafe-lined grand boulevards, visits to some of the world's greatest museums, a trek through the legendary Parisian sewers, strolls through the iconic streetscapes of Montmartre, and much more. So to conclude, through this course, you'll not only engage with Benjamin's pioneering studies of modern life, but also encounter the city that shaped and inspired them. By reading his work in dialogue with Paris itself, you'll gain a richer understanding of both the thinker and the metropolis. And I hope that you will join me on this unique exploration. Here's a picture of a street sign, a street in the Marais, in the 14th arrondissement in Paris. In the heart of Paris is devoted to Walter Benjamin, as you can see here. You can see his dates here, 1892 to 1940. Yeah, I'm very excited that you're interested in this course. It would be wonderful. You need to have a good pair of shoes because we will be walking a lot in this very walkable city. And if you could go to the next slide. Here's a little overview. You can peruse the syllabus, which is available online. I won't go into too much detail here, but just to give you an overview of what types of assignments will be expected for you to complete. There will be a pre-departure meeting online and a few readings that will help prepare you for a time in Paris. When you're there, you'll be expected to keep a reflective journal to reflect on the sites that we visit and the texts we read and the films you see. And there will be a group presentation where you walk, you know, your class through readings that are assigned. There's going to be a midterm test based on passage identification and short answer, and then hopefully a really exciting final project for you. It's a group project where you will look at an aspect of Paris, bring it into dialogue with Benjamin's work, and then present it through basically a storytelling presentation medium where you can bring together multimedia. So yeah, I think that covers the course details. Um, Paris is one of the most touristed cities in the world, but I don't want you to be just tourists there. You'll be there as students, and as Aisha said at the beginning of this presentation, you'll be there to experience the city as a living classroom. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say because I'm sure that many of you already know a lot about the city, but I think you will get to know it from a new angle. If you could go to the next slide, please. So some of the program activities I foresee for this course is an architectural tour, some walking tours in important neighborhoods, yeah, here's an overview of some of the other places. We'll not only look at Paris at the ground level, at the urban planning innovations of the 19th century, but also go underground into the Paris Sewer Museum and see some of the fantastic works of modern art that you can see. And that were really important also for Benjamin's reflections on the connection between art, society, and technology. You'll also have a chance to explore some of the cross-cultural influences between France and Germany. Well, I'm planning on taking you on a visit to the Goethe Institute, which presently is featuring Hannah Arendt, who was a good friend of Walter Benjamin's. They were in Paris together actually at the same time. He would work at the library and she would come and meet him and when the library closed, and they would walk the streets of Paris and have deep philosophical conversations together. And at the Cité Internationale Universitaire, where you're staying in Paris, what's wonderful is that the campus is designed. Um, it's an international campus where all the dormitories are divided by nationalities. And one of the dormitories and houses is devoted to Heinrich Heine, who is a very famous German Jewish writer and writer. And there they have interesting exhibits throughout the year where you can explore also sort of the German-French connections. I think that covers it. And now I'm going to hand it over to Aisha.
Thank you. So, um, now that you know what the actual course entails and the program entails, here's a tentative on-site program. This is tentative still, as we're still confirming all the details, but a lot of what Hung Sun shared, as you can see, is scheduled here. So the start of the program, the start of classes is Monday, May 18th, but you would be arriving in Paris on the Saturday beforehand to give you time to adjust and acclimate. So May 16th would be when you're expected to arrive in Paris, which means you would be leaving Canada on the 15th, Friday. So the check-in for the residents is also on May 16th. And then you start you have the Sundays off, you have most weekends off, as you can see in the schedule. You would start your first class on May 18th in the morning, followed by a group welcome lunch, and then an afternoon walk. And then you'll have class most mornings, Monday through Thursday. And most of your afternoons, or some of your afternoons, you'll have a field visit to, as you can see on the screen, most likely, tentatively to the Opéra Garnier, to the Paris Sewers Museum, to the Musée d'Orsay, and others. Or you'll do a self-guided walking tour. And then the final day of class is Thursday, June 11th, followed by a farewell lunch. And then the program ends, you check out on this Saturday, June 13th, and that's when you would fly home. Some students do choose to stay on and do their own traveling. That's fine, but you would still need to check out of the accommodations because the program is officially over by Saturday, June 13th. So, as Hung San mentioned, the accommodations will be at the Cité Internationale Université de Paris, which is the residence in the accommod. This is the accommodations. It's the residence. So you're going to be staying with actually the students who are in our other two, our Paris summer abroad courses, which are art history. So everyone will be staying in the residences here. The cool thing about this residence is the rooms are actually single rooms, which is quite rare for a lot of residences and for a lot of the accommodations within the program. So this is, as Hang San said, it's located right in Paris. It's a beautiful campus, and there's historical significance as well. So, as mentioned previously, the accommodation is available from Saturday, May 16th to Saturday, June 13th, 2026. Lectures will also be held within a classroom at the same universities when you're in the actual class. Of course, there will be a lot of teaching that's happening on site while you travel to the different sites around Paris. So, to get to Paris, you are responsible for booking your own flights. While there is no group flight option, we do recommend a particular flight. So, once you're admitted, we will be sending a suggested flight that arrives at Paris at the right time and the right day, of course. You do not have to take that flight. It's just the recommended flight. We know not everybody's going to be leaving from Toronto, for example. As long as you get there at the day that you need to get there, then that's fine. But this is the recommended flight. And the benefit of taking that is that potentially a lot of the other students that are coming on the program might be on the same flight with you. Um, you are also responsible for getting to the residence from Paris. So, because Paris is quite a crowded city, we're not doing a shuttle bus. So, we will be sending instructions to you on how to get from the airport to the residence and the different options that are available. So, in terms of applying, you will need to go to the Summer Abroad website and hit the Apply tab that's on the top. Applications open this Friday, December 5th at 10 a.m. Okay. So there is a $210 non-refundable application fee. Something new this year that's pretty great, I think, is that you can now actually apply for two programs in one in the same application. So you would be selecting your first location. This is your primary choice. Then it gives you the option, if you are not selected for your primary choice, that you can put your secondary location as a second option. And that's all part of the same application fee. Remember, once you submit your payment for the application, you still have to press submit to finalize your application. So please do remember to press submit after doing the payment. Admissions criteria. So you're assessed not on a first come first serve basis. You are assessed based on a number of different factors in your application. So first, your academic record over the last year is assessed. Then the relevance of the course to your program of study. Your personal statement. So your personal statement is part of the application. You're going to be asked questions about why you've selected this course, how it aligns with your personal goals or your academic goals. So that is really looked at in terms of really why you want to do this program. And then once you submit the online written application, you'll be sent a link for a video assessment. So this will be you'll be given interview questions that you have to record yourself. There's no person on the other side, so you can record yourself at any point and submit it as long as you submit it by the deadline. And that'll be assessed as part of your overall application as well. We ask that you not use AI in your application. Any unauthorized aids are not permitted, and it could lead to disqualification. However, that said, if there is an accessibility request, an approved aid would be permissible. So here's some important dates to be aware of. Like I said, applications open from December 5th at 10 a.m. The Paris program has an early deadline, January 14th, 2026 at 4 p.m. Please note this early deadline. A lot of our programs have a February 4th deadline, but the Paris program has a January 14th deadline. So please submit everything, including your video assessment, by January 14th. Okay. I want to also quickly talk about the eligibility. So in order to be eligible, while there's no prerequisite for this course, generally speaking, you need a minimum CGPA of 1.75. You have to have finished at least one course by December 2025 to be able to be eligible. Okay. So we'll talk about costs and financing. So costs of the program can vary. The 2026, these are estimated costs for this program. So for domestic students, 10,791. Out of province students that are still domestic, 11,021. And for international students, it's 11,946. Now, these estimates, they include not only the reason that they're estimates is because they do include the summer abroad program fee, which is not an estimate. The U of T incidental fees, also not an estimate, but then it includes estimated cost for your flight and meals. So that's why it's an estimate. If you want to look at the actual breakdown to see the exact fees that are the summer abroad fees and the U of T incidental fees, you can go on the program website. But we have tried to include what we estimate your flight and approximate budget for food would be, just so you can have an overall sense of what the program might cost. You'll also want to budget additional costs for public transportation and any personal spending that you might have. We do offer some awards. There's actually quite a number of different ways to help fund your participation in summer abroad. So firstly, there's the Summer Abroad Awards. This is an award that you have to apply for as part of your application. So when you're applying for the program, there's going to be a question that asks, do you want to apply for the award, Summer Abroad Award or funding? So you'll have to select yes if you want to apply for it. Then there's some questions that are specifically about the awards. Those are not assessed at the same time. They're assessed by separate committees, but you must submit the Summer Abroad Award at the same time of the application, because once you submit your application, you can't go back to then submit a Summer Abroad Award. Awards range from $2,500 to $7,000, depending on the program and your financial need. The requirements for this award are that you have completed at least 4 credits by December, as well as have a minimum GPA of 2.25. Okay. Now, while this does not cover the full cost of the program, it's still a significant contribution. There's other awards and bursaries or funding options that you can consider as well. There is the Center for International Experience. They have something called the IE Plus Award. That is available to both domestic and international students. It's based on financial need only, and it's for U of T sanctioned travel. There's also potentially awards available or bursaries available through your registrar's office. So you can see if there's any awards that are available to you that are for your program that you can apply to separately. And finally, if you are eligible for OSAP, because this program is course-based, it is a 1.0 credit, you can apply to OSAP for this. The only thing to note is that OSAP releases funds close to the start of the program, and you can't defer your fees for this program when you're paying. So we recommend starting to budget now. The deposits are due. It's a $1,000 deposit. That's due 1 week after admission, and that helps to confirm your spot. Final payments are due around March. And like I said earlier, if you are getting OSAP, it's just something to be aware of with the timing, because OSAP would usually distribute their funds closer to May. And so just figuring out the timing around that. We actually have an online information session that is specifically dedicated to how to finance your summer abroad experience. That is a Zoom webinar that will be held on Thursday, January 8th at 2 p.m. You can use the QR code on the screen right now to take you to the registration page, or you can also just navigate to our website, summerabroad.utoronto.ca, and go under the events tab. Then you can find this information session and register for it. It's at the same events page as all of our program information sessions is available to register. Okay, and that's going to be a deep dive into all the different financial aid that I've just discussed. You'll get much more detail on what to apply to, how to apply, and you can ask whatever questions you might have about finances. So students are also responsible for arranging their own visa if they require one. So for France, Canadian citizens don't need a visa for stays up to 90 days, but you do have to have a passport that has validity at least 3 months past your planned departure date. So in this case, past mid-June 2026. You'll also need to be, there's a new entry exit system in the Schengen area that you'll have to be aware of, and then you'll be registered into it when you enter Paris. And the EU is also launching a new European Travel Information Authorization System, it's called. So that actually is likely to be launched sometime in May. So it may or may not have launched by the time you travel to Paris. So just something to be aware of. It's an easy sort of travel authorization, but you might need to take a step online or in place to do that. So just keep in mind that this might be something you have to do around May. For international students, you would need to check with the embassy or consulate to confirm requirements for your nationality to enter France. And we do advise, if you need a visa, that you try to apply in Toronto if possible and to start early because there might be delays. Summer Abroad does provide documentation if you need any supporting documents to apply for the visa. We also recommend considering cancellation insurance for your flight because if for whatever reason visas are delayed, it's always a good idea to get cancellation insurance to keep yourself protected for the visas with your flight. So here's the timeline for 2026 Summer Abroad. So as mentioned earlier, the applications open this Friday, December 5th at 10 a.m. So you can go online, create your profile, and actually start your application, and you can save it and go back to it as you need. Just make sure that you submit it on time for the Paris program, January 14th before 4 p.m. All other programs that are not listed, so we have the early deadline for South Africa, Paris, Japan, England, and Science Abroad. All our other summer abroad programs have a February 4th, 2026 at 4 p.m. deadline. Throughout November, December, and January, we're having program information sessions for all our different programs. So you can register for those by going to the events tab on our website, and they're being held over Zoom. Sometime in February to March is when you'll get your admissions notification. So we recommend keeping a regular eye on your email during that time. Because then once you do get your admissions notification, you have one week to confirm your spot by submitting your $1,000 deposit. Then the remaining fees are due sometime in March or April. The exact date will be sent to you with your admissions. And then there's a pre-departure orientation, followed by, of course, the program. Summer Abroad is also very committed to supporting all students in your study abroad experience. So we've actually launched a dedicated equity, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility resources webpage. So this is dedicated to diverse groups of student communities who might be interested in applying for a study abroad, but are looking specifically for resources to help inform their choice. So we have resources that are targeted to various student communities, including students with disabilities, first generation students, racialized students, women travelers, non-traditional students, and other student communities. So you can feel free to scan the QR code that's on the web page right now. That'll take you directly to that page for the resources. Or you can also navigate to the Summer Abroad website and choose the EDI&A tab, and that'll also take you to these resources. We also have site-specific EDIA resources that we've launched. So again, on the same page under the EDIA tab, you can see resources that are specific to your location, again, to help you plan for your summer abroad journey. Understanding the cultural nuances of the destination can really help you navigate the local context and embrace for the experience. It'll also just help you engage with locals in a very respectful and sensitive manner, and just plan for your trip and make sure that the destination of your choice is going to be right for you. We're also committed to providing a welcome and inclusive environment for everybody. So we work closely with the Accessibility Services Office to ensure that resources are made available for students who may be living with a disability or diverse learning needs. So any student who requires any accommodations or support for their summer abroad program would need to register with the Accessibility Services Office. Then an effective accommodation plan can be put in place before you start your summer abroad program or before you travel. It is crucial to start this process early so that way a plan can be in place and you can discuss any potential plans you might have with the Accessibility Services Office and make sure that we're able to implement any plans that might be necessary well in advance. Please note that there's accessibility offices they're not tri-campus, so you do need to make sure that you register with the accessibility services at your campus. We have one for all three campuses, so please just make sure that you are going to the correct accessibility services office. And we do actually have a Summer Abroad Inclusion, Diversity, and Excellence Award available. So this is a new award, and it's for undergraduate students who have contributed to the advancement of equity, diversity, and inclusion. There are 4 awards that are available for $5,000 each, which can play a pretty significant part in the funding. So you're able to look at some of the biographies of previous recipients by going on our website, again, under the EDI and Accessibility tab, and read what some of the previous recipients what their biographies have been, to have an idea of what kind of the awards that are given to what kind of work they've been involved in. So if you are not already following us on Instagram, our handle is at U of T Abroad. This is a really great way to see not only what we're up to and to see the promotions for new programs or existing programs, but also a lot of our students while they're abroad, they submit videos, a day in the life, or even photos of their journey in summer abroad, and it really helps you get a sense of what the program's like. So this is regularly updated, and it's a great way to keep in touch. Other ways to keep in touch or to get updates are by subscribing to our monthly e-newsletter. You can do that on our website. It's called The Summary. You can also continue to check our website as you need information and as it's updated. You can also book a virtual appointment. So Summer Abroad advisors are available to have a discussion with you to answer your questions one-on-one. You can book this virtual appointment by going to the program page of your interest and booking a 15 to 20-minute advising session. Finally, you can also contact us. Our general summer abroad email is summer.abroad@utoronto.ca. We also have program-specific emails, which are checked regularly. So for this program, it's paris.abroad.wdw@utoronto.ca. And I just want to remind everybody, applications open this Friday, and you have till January 14th. So with that, I'm going to close the session. Thank you once again, Hung San, and to everybody for your questions and for joining. And we look forward to receiving your applications.
Thanks, Aisha. Thanks to
Bye.
everyone who attended. Bye.